When people talk about the cost of dental school, they usually talk about tuition, student loans, and interest rates. And yes, those things are expensive. But honestly, some of the expenses that caught us off guard the most had nothing to do with tuition. They were all the other little things that would pop up. So today I wanted to share some of the unexpected expenses that we ran into, what they cost us, and what we would do differently if we were preparing for dental school again. Because when I finally added everything up, we spent almost $4,500 in our first semester alone. So honestly, I just wanted to start off with that number, that $4,500, and go through with you guys exactly what that was spent on and how much each thing was. Obviously, I did include a little bit of the moving expenses in here. Not all of them, because everybody's moving experience and how much everything costs is so variable. For us, I just wrote down our $800 deposit. We spent $212 on the U-Haul. I estimated about $75 for gas with the refill and all of that. I did not include food, like when we were in the process of moving, the first little bit when we got here, any supplies, food for restocking the house. I did not include any of that. So for moving costs, I just put $1,087. So that is, I would say, minimum of minimum. Those are just the things that we absolutely had to pay for, but that's not including everything, like I said. And then for our non-moving expenses, we had a $75 charge for figs, a $341 charge for figs. I'm assuming what that was his first set of scrubs to get sizing or something, and then buying the rest of them, and that's why they're separated. We spent $2,673 on his first set of loops, $8 on embroidering for his scrubs, $36 for Quizlet for obviously studying resources, $92 on teeth, on extra teeth to practice on, $98 was for gala tickets. That is obviously something that's optional. That was not something that we had to do. $9 for tools, $25 for a badge holder, and $33 for an iPad case. The school gives them an iPad, but they did not have a case for it, so you were responsible for buying your own case, obviously. So that comes out to a grand total of $3,390. So that's where we get that just under $4,500 for moving expenses. Obviously, I'm sure that we went over that $4,500 because I did not include a lot of things in here that I'm sure that we got when we were moving in and restocking the fridge and all of that. None of these expenses are, say, surprise expenses. You know that you're moving here and there's going to be associated costs. You know that you have to get scrubs and certain things for school. I think what was just so unexpected for us was the cost of everything. And when you add everything up and look at that big picture, you can kind of see like, wow, this is a little bit more than I thought it was. My husband's school, they budget, I think about $1,400 for your loops. And that comes in two different, like, I guess, installments or whatever you want to call it. You get $700 for your first semester and $700 for your second, but you have to buy them in your first. So it's like, okay, no matter how you look at this, $1,400 is not enough money anyways, but you also don't get that all in your first semester to help pay for the loops. So you have to budget accordingly. Obviously, there is a lot of variation in how much like stuff can cost for you, for your school, etc. I think even though you know that those are going to be required, it is still a lot and it's unexpected how much everything costs like right away. Some moving expenses that I wanted to talk about first, just because that's obviously the very first things that you're paying for when you move here. Just some things to keep in mind. Make sure you budget for deposits, moving truck, gas, hotels. If you're driving, if you're not able to get to your new city within, a day or whatever, you might need to stay in a hotel. Utilities set up, so there might be a deposit for that. Replacing things. Sometimes we aren't taking all of our furniture or we're getting different furniture wherever we're moving. So there's going to be obviously a cost with that potentially. Your first grocery trip, household items that you need to buy, etc. So like I said, there's a lot that I did not include in my tally of the numbers. If you're wanting to like completely refurnish your whole place. Like, obviously things can kind of get out of hand, and it's exciting to move to a new place. And for us, we moved to a lot nicer of a place than we had before. So I would have loved to get a new couch, a new table, like all of these things were kind of in my initial plan. And I didn't get to get any of that because everything else added up so quickly, and there just wasn't the money to get those things. So we still have the same dining table that we've had for a million years. We did need a new couch, but we got one for free from my family. And so you have to be careful because things can really add up quickly and get out of hand. I quickly wanted to touch on something really quick in case this is the first video of mine that you're seeing. I have mentioned it in the last couple videos, but just making sure that you have enough money until you get your student loan money in like mid-August. A lot of students move in literally during this time, like are starting to move June, July, and it's super exciting, but just know like you're not going to get your money right away. It's going to take some time. You obviously need to budget for that or have a plan for paying your bills, your moving deposits, your rent, depending on how early you moved here. And I mentioned that we had took out my husband's 401k to be able to supplement that time because we would not have had enough money otherwise. I know everybody's going to have varying opinions on that. I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that that is what you need to do or that that is what's best to do. It was a good option for us. I do not regret it for a second, and it was vital for us, for our family. So obviously we already mentioned kind of all of those school-related expenses that you're going to have right in the beginning, your loops, your scrubs, all of the things. Something though that I wanted to mention along those lines is, so my husband obviously spent almost $2,700 on his first pair of loops. And while those work really great and he's happy with them, as he is kind of getting further into school now and they're moving on to peds and smaller things and working with things where you really need to see what you are doing, he has found that the loops just aren't really quite doing it for him. So they're not magnified enough. He needs stuff that can really get in there, zoom in there. He has went ahead and purchased a second set for that greater magnification. So just because you get that set of loops does not necessarily mean that that is it and that that is the only expense that you will have for loops during your whole time in school. The ones that he is upgrading to, obviously they are of course more expensive. So he is spending about $4,500 on a second pair of loops. That's fine. Obviously we are having to budget accordingly and make sure that we have the money for that, but that is expensive. That is a lot of money. And I think that that is just something that you are going to have to keep in mind is you need to almost have like a fund that you continue to have for school-related expenses, even as you continue through the different semesters and different years of class. You might want more, you might want something else, you might want to purchase more teeth. So just always having a fund for that and the cushion to be able to get those things as needed. Because school expenses don't just stop after that first semester, they do continue to add up. The next thing I want to mention is life also does not stop because you are in dental school. So especially for us and being a family, there are things that are still happening that we need to pay for. So the kids have a lot of expenses. Obviously, we have a lot of home essentials and home expenses. We have a lot of things that we have to budget for and be very careful. You know, it's kind of having that balance of school and family life because my husband needs to be able to, I guess, spend $4,500 on a new set of loops, but we also still need diapers and wipes for the kids and whatever it is that they may need. We still need to have money for those things too. So a little bit of a unique situation. If you're not a family, you don't have those expenses, but you still could have your tires need to be replaced or something goes wrong with your car. Like you're gonna have potentially those repairs that need to be done, the maintenance that needs to be done, maybe medical bills or things come up with that where you need to have the money to be able to pay those things. I know we have about, I think $100 a month that we pay in medical bills. So life definitely just keeps going. You just continue to be careful because those things aren't going to stop. So I think the thing that we have done really well in this season being in dental school has truly been, and you're probably already guessing, is having that buffer and that emergency fund, there have been several times where we have started to get towards the end of a semester that I have felt like, oh my gosh, things are so tight. There is no way that we're going to have enough money. And even in one of my previous budgeting videos, I stressed that. I think it was right after my 48K video where I talked about our monthly budget. And I was like, I don't think we're gonna have enough. Like, we are spending more than we have coming in. Like, I just felt super, super stressed because I was like, there's absolutely no way that this is gonna be enough. I truly believe that it's because of the buffer and the emergency fund and just the way that we are so frugal and like not really spending money at all. But I think having that buffer there, it somehow like does a perfect job of filling that gap to where we have always had enough. Even though it does feel tight as the semester literally comes to like its last few weeks, or we're like in between getting paid, you know, one semester ending and another beginning, like it has been very tight at times, but we've never been in a situation where I was truly, truly scared because I was like, okay, the bank account is dwindled. It's truly really low, but we still have like $2,000 of a buffer. I cannot stress that enough. I think that that is like crucial. Like I said, it's very easy to see that like big loan amount and overspend because you feel like you have a ton of money. If we were doing this all over and we were getting ready to start with you guys in a couple months, and I had to give my 3 biggest tips or biggest takeaways, things that I would absolutely do is 1, have a dedicated moving fund so that that can be as absolutely low stress as possible. Save that money up, pick up an extra shift, do a little bit of overtime. It is not too late. We still have a little bit of time, potentially, unless you're already here. Then I don't know what to say. But definitely having a dedicated moving fund will just totally help ease that stress. 2, have cash available before school starts. Again, this is good for any little thing that may come up, for potential convenience spending, anything like that. I had cash saved up for each of the 5 kids to have birthday money for 2 years. So for the first 2 years of us being here, I've not had to worry at all about not having money for the kids for their birthday. That was set aside. Also cash for yearly subscriptions. I put that aside. Things that you're like, crud, we might have a hard time budgeting for XYZ. So having the cash ahead of time and somewhere where you know it's not just gonna get frivolously spent, I think that for me is a huge thing I would absolutely do again. And the last and third thing that I would do again is always have more cushion than I felt was necessary. Before we moved here, we obviously talked about the idea of having the emergency fund and the buffer, but we just had no idea how things were gonna work and how they were gonna look and exactly the amount of money that we were gonna get. We didn't really figure that out until we were here. I would just say I would always plan for more than you think that you will need. Like I said, with my husband getting the second pair of loops that are like twice as expensive as the first pair that he got, that's definitely gonna come in handy for us because I don't have nearly as much stress as I would have if we had not planned for and overly planned for more than what I thought we would need. Those are my top 3 tips. Absolutely, if you guys have any other tips yourself or something that you have found particularly helpful for moving or just being in school period, please share your knowledge with everybody and put it in the comments below. Looking back, I don't think that the biggest lesson was that dental school was more expensive than we expected it to be. I think it's just that the more you can prepare for those expenses ahead of time, the less stressful those first few months will be. If you're getting ready to start dental school or medical school, whether you are a single student, a couple, a family, please subscribe to follow along so that you guys don't miss any of my videos. In my next video, I am sharing what a normal week in our life looks like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.